Hello everyone, welcome back to another class. In the last class we had discussed about the memory mapping functions, that is your direct mapping, associative mapping and set associative mapping functions. So and also we had discussed about the temporal storage, that is your cache memories, how the cache memories will be get embedded in your processor chips, that the categories of your cache memories that was categorized into your primary cache as well as the secondary cache, isn't it? And also we stepped on to the mapping functions, that is how the mapping can be done from the main memory to the cache memories based on the speed of transfer, that is the direct mapping, associative mapping and set associative mapping. Fine. So in this today's class we will be moving on to the next topic, that is the performance consideration. So always the performance of the computer system in terms of memory will always be considered as a better performance in terms of low cost, isn't it? So whatever the performance of the system is being achieved in terms of low cost will be having a better performance of the system. And also always the performance will be migrating on two factors, that is how fast the instructions is being moved from the main memory to the processor, and also the other factor depends on how speedily the execution of the instruction happens. So this will be takes place on the transfer of instructions from the main memory to the processor, how speedily or how quickly the instruction is being transferred from the main memory to the processor. That also will be one of the factor which will be affecting the performance of the system. And the second factor which will be affecting the performance of the system will be the execution of that instruction. So how quickly the execution of the instruction is being executed. Based on these two factors, that is how quickly the transfer of instructions from the main memory to the processor, and also how quickly the execution of that instruction takes place in your processor. So based on these two factors the performance of the system will be considered. Fine. So again you need to make the transfer of data from the processor to your main memory in a faster speed. So that is why you have designed a new technique called as interleaving. So what do you mean by interleaving? So it is nothing but how quickly or how fastly you can access the data either from the main memory to or either from the cache memory which will be present between your processor and the main memory. So in your interleaving you will be assuming or you will be making the memory structures as a separate physical module, and each module will be having the two registers, that is your address buffer register and data buffer register. So when you will be making the memory of your main system as a separate modules, so that you can access each and every module consecutively, so that the accessing speed can be increased when the processor make a request for the instruction set. Fine. So how the interleaving is being done in the memory structure of your computer system. So here is a simple organization how the memory is being accessed when the processor made a request to the memory. So as I already told, it will be visibling or you will be making the complete main memory as a separate physical modules, that is module 0, module 1, 2, 3 till n-1 modules, and each module will be having the two registers, that is your address buffer register and address data register. So ABR stands for address buffer register, whereas DBR stands for data buffer register. So in your address buffer register, the address of a particular memory, address of the particular module, and in that module particular word will be present, whereas in your data buffer register the actual contents of the data will be present. Understood? In the first case, if you are wanted to access the consecutive words in a memory, in a module, means how you will be accessing the data. So that is, in your main memory, if you want to move a block of contents or block of data to your cache memory, means you will be need to access continuous words of data from the main memory to your cache memory, isn't it? So in that cases, you can use up with this interleaving technique, so that in this interleaving technique you will be having the two fields, that is the higher order k bits will be representing the address of the module, and the lower order m bits will be representing the particular byte or particular words of the respective module. So that will be placed in the ABR and DBR. So in your module, what you will be placing, the address of the particular module. It might be module 0, module 1, module 2 till module n-1. So whichever the module is being sent in the k bits, that particular module is being reached, and in that particular module the consecutive words, that is one word after the another word. So in your main memory, if you want to move up the complete module 1 means module 0 means in complete module 0 there will be n number of words, isn't it? So you want to move that complete block of data to your cache memory. Instead of accessing one word after the another word, you will be consecutively, that is simultaneously accessing every word of that particular block continuously by using the interleaving technique. Fine. This is what happens in your first case, that is you can access the consecutive words in an module, that is all the words of the particular block can be accessed simultaneously, and you can move that data from your main memory to your temporary storage called as your cache memory. So by this the access time can be increased. Instead of wasting the time by accessing one word after the other, you can use up with the interleaving technique. Fine, understood. So again you can use the variations of your interleaving technique, that is you can make use of how this interleaving technique can be used to access the words in your consecutive modules. Suppose in this first case what you have been done, you are accessing the words which is been present in a particular module. Now what you need to do in the second case, that is you want to access the words which is been present in different modules. So you can access that type of words also by using another variation of your interleaving technique. Here what you will be doing, again the same two fields, but in the higher order bits you will be presenting or you will be specifying the address of the particular word or particular byte of an module. So higher order bits will be present the particular words addresses, and the lower order bits will be representing the particular module number, so that if the words are being present in different modules also, all that words, if first word is present in module 0, second word is present in module 1, and the third and fourth module will be present in module 2, means all that words consecutively you can get fetched out by using this second variation. That is, firstly you will be specifying the address of the particular word or particular byte of the module, and then you will be specifying the address. In the lower order bits you will be specifying the address of the module, so that you can access the consecutive words in consecutive modules. So that still more, when compared to your first case, the accessing time can be still more increased by fetching the words from different modules simultaneously. Fine. So by using the interleaving technique, the access time can be increased, so that the performance of the system is obviously more. Fine, understood. This is how you will be making the performance of the system to be going in a better way. Fine. So next, coming on to the Another considerations that you need to be consider while measuring the performance of the system is your hit rate and miss penalty. So what do you mean by hit rate? So in your previous class, while explaining your cache memories, I had already discussed about it. What do you mean by an hit? Hit is nothing but whatever the data which has been requested by the processor, if that data is been found in my cache memory, then it will be called it as hit. So whatever the operations it might be an read operation or it might be the write operation. If I found that request in my cache itself, then I will be calling that process as hit. So the measures, the fractions of attempted hits that is being accessed to your cache memory will be called it as hit rate. So the number of attempts or the number of accesses that is being made into your cache in a fractions of, that is the fractions of attempts that is being made access to your cache memory will be called it as hit rate. Fine. So you can calculate the hit rate, that is how many hit rates is being made in your cache memory by using the mathematical calculation when you synchronize the clock bit with your computer system. So the number of hits that you been found it out in a single minute, how many hits that is being carried out with respect to the clock signal, you can obviously calculate the number of hit rates. Fine. And also I also told about the miss also in your last class itself. So hit means if the data or if whatever the request made by the processor, if you found it out in your cache miss, then you will be calling it as hit. And you can also calculate the number of hits that you have made to your cache memory, that is your hit rate, isn't it? So what happens if the data is not found in the cache memory? So that will be called it as hit miss, isn't it? So my data, whichever the processor has been requested, whether it might be a read operation or write operation, that data I have not found it out in my cache. So then I will be call it as hit miss. So next step what I need to do is I need to go and search in my main memory for my requested data, isn't it? So I will be going and find it out the requested data in the main memory and I will be searching for it. I found that data and then I will be moving that data from my main memory to my cache memory, so that the time is being wasted out from till the processor needs to wait. Why? Because it need to go and fetch in the main memory and then it need to send back to the processor, isn't it? So that time delay in waiting the processor for the requested data will be called it as miss penalty. So whatever the data time is being wasted or is being in the waiting state by the processor, when the data is not found in cache memory, it will go, the control circuitry moves to the main memory of the computer system and then it fetches the data from main memory back to the cache memory and then it sent back to the processor. So the time span which is being wasted, that will be called it as miss penalty. So how much miss penalty is being applied to the instruction set, that also will be affecting the performance of the system, isn't it? If the miss penalty is less, obviously the performance of the system will be more. If there is more miss penalties, why? Because no data which is being requested by the processor is not found in the cache miss, obviously the miss penalty goes on increases, which will affect the performance of the system. Fine, understood. And also you can improve the hit rate. So how can you improve the hit rate? So there are two ways you can improve the hit rate: by increasing the cache size. So you can, as you already know, cache is a temporary storage. You cannot fit all the things which is been in your main memory, but I want to increase my hit rate, that is the number of data which is been present in my main memory. So I need to, sorry, the data which has been present in main memory, with the data which has been frequently used, I will be moving that data into the cache memories, isn't it? So I want the cache memory size to get increased, so that my hit rate will be increased. So number of hits which I have, whatever the processor making the request, if I get in the cache itself, obviously my performance will be more. But one thing it is you need to be noted out is, that is, it is as you will be increasing with cache size, obviously there will be increase in the cost. So again it is a cost effective, and again it will be the performance, again if you need performance in a good way, means again it will be an cost effective. Another solution you can draw up is, you can increase the block size by keeping the cache size constantly, so that you can make the spatial feature of your cache memory. So these are the two ways how you can improve the hit rates. Either you can increase the cache size, but it is cost effective, so that you can increase the block sizes, so that it will be making the spatial features of your cache memories. So these are all the things which you will be making the designs, and you will be developing it for the main purpose, that is your performance consideration. In what and all the ways, how can I improve the performance of the system, what are the alternative measures I can make it out, and also I should consider the cost effective of the system also. I cannot spend too much amount on a single operation or on a single feature. So I will be considering, or I will be keeping in mind all the factors and working on the things, that is the performance of the system. So to improve the performance, which are the factors I will be considering is, that is I will be making an interleaving and improving the hit rate and reducing my miss penalty, and also improving the hit rates. Fine, this is all about the performance considerations. So moving on to your next topic, that is another type of your memory system, that is your virtual memory. So how virtual memory gets operates, what is the purpose of using the virtual memory? So let's look at on. Coming on to the next topic, that is your virtual memory. So as compared to your physical memory, whatever the space capacity your physical memory is having, comparatively it is a smaller memory when compared to the processor address bits. Suppose your processor address bits addressing is of 32 bits, means you will be having 2 power 32 is equal to 4 GB of address space, isn't it? Whereas your physical memory will be of some megabytes. So when it is been like this, the comparatively the physical memory will be of lesser space when compared to the address space of your processor. So you evolved with another type of memory called as your virtual memory. So whatever the data contents you will be residing in your main memory, so which happens like same as your cache memories. So the cache was being used, that is was bridging the gap between the processor and your main memory, isn't it? Likewise you will be having a virtual memory, that is between your main memory and your secondary storage. So in the secondary storage, that is you already known that the semiconductor memories are all volatile memories, and also it is been small. So we had moved on to a non-volatile memories, that is the secondary storages, such as it might be your magnetic disks or optical disk. So this type of memories you will be considered it as an virtual memory. So that will be not actually running through the execution of the processor, it will be a separate memory module, that is apart from the execution. So whichever the data which is being frequently used or most consistently used data will be stored in the main memories, and the remaining data will be pushed on to the virtual memories. So the virtual memories is being used in your processor by an memory, so that whatever the addresses that is being generated or that is being given by the processor, you will be calling it as virtual address. So now you will be viewing the memories of a computer system not as a smaller one. You will be not worrying about the memory system as it is. You will be having the concept of virtual memory. You will be just going and adding the number of instructions that you are needed to execute in your computer system. So now whatever the instructions or whatever the request which is being sent by the processor, that address will be called it as virtual address. So that virtual address will be gets converted into your physical address by using a system called as, by a software called as memory management unit. So the memory management unit will be responsible for converting the virtual address that is being sent by the processor as a physical address, which is being present either in your main memory or else it might be present in your secondary storage. Fine. So now you whatever the address which is being sent by the processor will be get transferred, that is MMU will be converting into your physical address. Very firstly it will be checking out in your cache memory whether my data is being present in the cache, or else now it will be going and checking out in your main memory of your computer system. Till here the computer system will be at the execution phase of your instruction, but whatever the data which is being present in your disk storage, that is your secondary memory, that will be not a part of your execution. It will be as a separate module itself. So now you will be fetching the data from the secondary storage to your main memory, and from the main memory to your cache memory, and then the data will be sent to the processor for execution. So obviously the time consumption will be more, but in terms of memory utilization you can use the memory or you can view the memory in a larger size. So in perspective of the space of a memory system, you need not worry about the physical space, so that any n number of instructions can be stored either in your cache, either in your main memory as with respect to your secondary storage. So whenever the data is being needed, you can access either from any of these main memories. So only the address which is firstly sent by the processor will be called it as virtual address. So that virtual address will be converted into your physical address and then goes and checking out with the memories of your computer system. So that conversions of virtual address to your physical address is done by your memory management unit. Fine. So there is one such another type of technique. What is the purpose of using the cache you were using in your earlier one? So the cache was what happening? The cache was speeding up the gap between the main memory and the processor, isn't it? Again, now I have whatever the data which I have been stored in my secondary storage, I need to bring it onto my main memory. So the accessing time which I have been used in my access, that is moving the content from secondary storage to main memory, is time consuming. So again I moved on to another technique called as paging. So in my paging, what is this scheme is being used for what purpose it is being got used? Paging is being used to increase the speed gap that bridges between the secondary storage and your main memory. How the cache memory was been doing, that is, it was speeding the gap of processor and the main memory. The recently used data you will be keeping out in your cache memory. Likewise, between your main memory and the disk storage, you will be using a scheme called paging technique that will be increasing the accessing time between your main memory and the secondary storage. So now let's look upon how this paging technique will get worked on. So as I already told you, the paging will be increases the speed back between the main memory and the secondary memory, isn't it? So in your paging technique, whatever the virtual address that is being generated by the processor, it should be first gets converted to your physical address of the main memory. So your virtual address, whatever which is being sent by the processor, will be divided into two parts, that is the virtual page number and the offset. So the second part will be holding the offset, where offset is being responsible for storing the particular byte or particular word of your main memory. So that is why it has been sent directly to the physical address. Next, the page that is been indexing to your page number. So whatever the page you will be having, that will be indexing to your page table. That is, in the page table, the corresponding, the first address of the page table will be present in the PTBR. So PTBR is nothing but page table base register. So the first address and the virtual address, virtual page number is sent to the page table, or it is added to the contents of the PTBR to find out the entries in the page table. So as soon as you find the entries in the page table, this contents will be added to the page frame. Page frame is nothing but the page which is being the main memory which is being responsible to hold one page at a time will be called it as your page frame. So the contents of the virtual page number is being added to the page table entries, that is the PTBR, and you find it out the entries in your page table. To that page table contents, you will be adding the page frame and the offset number, which will be giving the physical address of your main memory. Fine. And also you will be having the control bits in your page table, which will be stating the current status of the flag. So this is how you will be using the paging technique, by which will be speeding the gap between your secondary storage and your main memory. So instead of having the blocks of data, you will be divided the data into a fixed length called pages, and you will be moving that pages into your main memory location. So that the physical address will be divided into two fields, that is your offset field and your virtual page number. That virtual page number will be sent to the page table, where the the address of the page will be stored, the address of the main memory where the actual page is being present, and the first address, that is of the first page, will be stored in the page table base register. As soon as the first page address gets stored in the base register, next you can add on the entries of your page table by adding the contents of the virtual page number. So as you get the virtual page number, by moving a particular page frame to the offset, you will get the physical address of the main memory. And also there will be a control bits in your page table that will be always representing the status of the current page. Fine. So you also, in the next, you will be going to learn what is, how this page table is being implemented. So how the implementation of the page table is being done? So the simple organization how the page table entries is being given is as shown in this following diagram. So in this page table implementation, so you know, as I already told, the MMU will be responsible for what? That is conversion of physical addresses to your virtual addresses to your physical address, isn't it? So if the page table entries are less, then what it will be doing? The MMU will be placed inside the processor itself. That is, however, since MMU is a part of the processor and generally the page table is large and page table is stored in the main memory, but a copy of small portion of the page table which has entries about most recently accessed. So the most recently accessed, like as you were doing in the cache, the most recently accessed data you will be storing it in cache, isn't it? Likewise here also you will be storing the most recently accessed pages in a small cache called as translation look aside buffer. So in the diagram you can view it that TLB, isn't it? What that TLB is being stated for? TLB is nothing but an translation look aside buffer. So now what you will be doing, it shows the possible page implementation. So whichever the most recently used pages you will be stored in your TLB, that is the table translation look aside buffer. So here the associative mapping technique is being done. So the requirement is that the contents of the TLB, so whatever the content, what is there in TLB, the most recently accessed pages, isn't it, is being coherent with the contents of the page table in the memory. So in the whatever the pages which were present in your memory, that will be coherent with the TLB contents. So when the operating system changes the contents of page table, the corresponding entries in the TLB must be invalidated using a control bit. Fine. So this is how you will be going to deal with the implementation of your page table entries. So in the speeding of access you were using the cache memories, isn't it? Here you will be using the TLB, that is translation location buffer. So what it will be doing? It will be storing the most recently accessed pages. So most recently accessed pages that will be present again in the page table, that is one more column will be present for TLB. So most recently pages will be present there itself, instead of going fetching from your secondary storage, that is your, it might be a disk, optical disk or magnetic disk, anything. Instead of that you will be storing in your TLB itself, so that from TLB you can move on to your main memory location. Fine. So next, one more thing you need to know up with your paging technique is dealing up with page faults. So what do you mean by page faults? As I already told, you keep on comparing with your cache memory and your this paging always. So whatever the data which you will be presenting in the cache means you will be calling it as hit. If you don't present in the cache memory, you will be calling it as hit miss, isn't it? Likewise, when you will be searching the pages for your in your page table, if you don't find it that pages in your TLB, means you will be calling it as page fault. So I does not found it the pages which I have been requested by the processor. So I will be calling it as page fault. Next, what I will be doing, what need to be done? So again I need to move back to my secondary storage. I need to search for the data which is being requested by the processor. I need to search for the pages, isn't it? So which page has been requested by the processor, and that particular page I will be moving on to the TLB and then to main memory. These are all the things which has been already known. So instead of wasting the time of page fault, so from processor I need to move for your cache. Next I need to move for my main memory. Next I need to move for my TLB. After that my secondary storage is being present, isn't it? So now the processor had made this time consuming request. So I have not found it in TLB. Now I am going to my secondary storage and I am accessing the data. Instead of wasting the time, what the processor will be does means whatever the pages which is being present in the TLB. So at once you already know a secondary storage is a larger storage system comparatively to your main memory. So again searching in a secondary storage will be an higher time consuming task. So instead of wasting the time or instead of making the processor to be in a waiting state, what the thing you can do is you will be halting the execution of that task there itself, and you will be moving on to the next task where the page is being present in the TLB itself or in the processor itself. So once you find it out with the data which is being present in the secondary storage, you can move or you can suspend the execution of the halted data, and then you can resume back the execution of your halted instruction. So this is how you will be dealing up with your page faults and increasing the performance of the system. So in this in the cache memories you were not doing like that. You will be keep on waiting until from the data is been fetched from the main memory to your cache memory. So that miss penalty was been increased. But why I have moved on or why I am suspending the execution? Because secondary storage is an larger memory system. So in that you need to find out the data which is been requested by the processor, means it will be an higherly time consuming task. So that to reduce that time consumption, what you will be doing, you will be halting the execution of the program and moving to the next execution where the pages is being present in the TLB itself. So you will be performing with that action or execution. Once the data is been found in your secondary storage, that is been moved back to your TLB, you will be resuming back with that execution. This is how you will be dealing up with your page faults. Fine, understood. This is how you will be making use of the system for the execution, and also you will be increasing the performance of the system. So this is what all about your virtual memory. So the virtual memory will be used as an larger memory, so in respective of the processor space which you will be using. So and again the virtual memory speed gap can be increased by using a technique called as your paging technique, and the implementation of paging technique, how you will be doing, that is how you, the address which is been sent by the processor will be the virtual address. That virtual address will be gets converted to your physical address by using a unit called as MMU, that is the memory management unit. And again the dealing of paging technique is being done by converting the main memory virtual address to physical address. And page implementation, how you will be doing, that is by using another register or called as TLB, that is translation aside buffer, isn't it? In this the frequently accessed pages will be get stored. If not present in TLB, again I will be moving on to, if not present in TLB, what it happens, page fault occurs. So to deal up with page faults, what I will be doing, I will be halting the execution and moving back to switching to the next execution. Once I found with the page, I will be resuming back with the halted execution of the program. Fine. This is what all about your virtual memory system. Fine. Understood? So moving on to the next topic. So this is what all about your virtual memory system. So in the next class we will be going to learn about the secondary storage devices. Which are the secondary storage devices you will be using for your second virtual memories? It might be your magnetic disk system or optical disk system. How the data will be stored in their respective storage devices. How the data is being moved from the secondary storage to main memories. How the operations has been going on in that. These are all the things we shall discuss in your next class. Fine. Thank you all.